Jackie with Intoxicating Arts, and today I'm making this card using the Hero Arts My Monthly Hero January 2017 kit. I started off by stamping a mason jar, and I wanted to color in the water using some of the inks included in the kit. It didn't make quite the color that I was looking for, so I actually ended up using the Distress ink in Salty Ocean to give it a little bit more of a blue color because the inks were actually a little too green. I used my my Hampton Arts Stamp Perfect positioning tool here to stamp that on, and then to watercolor I used an acrylic block and a water brush. I also stamped the mason jar image on some acetate using some green StazOn ink, and then I used the die that was included in the kit to cut that out. I'm going to be adding this on top of the stamped image so that it will have a little bit of a glass look. This is the huge stamp set that was included in the kit, and I'm just looking through it to decide what sentiment I want to use on my front of my card. I have this little bee. This is actually used for die cutting, but I use the transparent grid surface to line up my sentiment perfectly on the stamping tool. I'm going to use some VersaFine black ink to stamp my greeting on here. This one says Happy Valentine's Day, and I'm doing my greeting now to make sure that I have the right amount of room between the greeting and where my bouquet of flowers are going to go. Now I can position my bouquet of flowers, and this stamp set has some solid images and then the detail images. So the solid images are going to be your colors that you want to have, and then you'll go over that with black or white or gold or whatever color you want to have the outline and the details. I'm using some of the inks that were included in the kit, and these actually do stamp out very nicely. You want to use a pretty decent amount of pressure on it. When I first started using them, I didn't think they were that great, and then I realized that I wasn't using enough pressure. And with two stampings, it comes out perfect. It looks completely solid. So here I'm just showing you can easily use multiple colors because of the size of those ink cubes. So I'm just kind of building my bouquet here, figuring out where I want all of my flowers to be. And I could have stopped here actually, but I did end up adding some hearts and some, maybe just some hearts and then like one more here and there. And then I put some of the foliage that was included, and then there is actually multiple different stems, probably 3 or 4. So that's really cool. It doesn't look repetitive, and it's easy to have a very organic look. So here I'm just showing you with this stamp positioning tool, it makes it very easy to add the detail to the image. I switched over to Memento ink for no particular reason. I just felt like using it, and I'm going to stamp down the detail of that rose. You'll notice that it really deepens and darkens up all of these colors, so definitely keep that in mind when you're stamping that. You'll see that there's that little heart in the middle, and I just didn't like that. I thought it looked really weird, so I'm actually going to cover that up right now by stamping one of the details, and then I'll go back inside with the color to cover that up. And I will be adding another one of those little hearts off to the edge there, just because I thought it would be weird to only have one of those little hearts in there. So that'll even out my bouquet. It's really easy to build a bouquet with these stamps because you don't need to do any masking if you don't want to. I didn't do any masking at all. So here I'm using a little poke tool. I'm not sure what they're actually called, a needle point type tool, to poke through my acetate mason jar and through the paper. I'm using Bristol paper, by the way, and I'm going to thread some of the wax thread that was included in the kit through here. That's going to hold my acetate onto the card base for me and give me the opportunity to put a cute little bow on here. And since it's a wax thread, it holds its shape perfectly. After you get it however you want it, it's going to stay there for you. I'm just going to cut this down really quickly to I think about 3 3/4 by, I'm really not sure what the height is, but I left about probably a 1/2 inch on each side, and this is a standard A2 size card. I believe it's 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 in the end, and I'm only going to have the red poking up from the top and the bottom. So this card is almost done. I'm going to add some fun foam to this just to give it a tiny bit of dimension. The fun foam gives it a nice even dimension all across, and it makes it go through the mail very easily without getting mangled. I'm actually going to be handing this one to my husband, so that's not really a big deal. And then for the inside, I wanted to use another awesome sentiment from that stamp set. This one says love you, and the O's are roses, so you could actually color those in if you wanted to. But by this time I had been working on this card for actually quite a while, and I decided to just go with red and do it red. And you'll see here, the first time I stamp with this red, it is actually perfect. I did not need to stamp it a second time, but I did anyways just because I could. And you'll see the second time that I stamp it, it actually makes it so much richer of a color, and it definitely makes it so there's no doubt about it that there is no white space where it should not be. So you'll see that when I pull it up right here, it is absolutely perfect. Now that I have that done, I'm gonna take my ATG gun and just line the back of the card base, put that on my my card front, and put that on my card base. The card base that I'm using today is from Simon Says Stamp. I believe it's 110 pound. It's really nice, very like premium type of card base. It's nice and thick. So when people receive that, they go, wow, this is nice. So this card is actually done. I did end up adding a few embellishments. You'll see here in a moment I have a picture. I feel like I kind of went a little overboard, but you know, sometimes that happens. And I did my best to save it, and I think I might have salvaged it, especially after all that hard work. Thank you so much for watching. I'll be back with another card video shortly.